Phew! Greetings, YouTube. I gotta tell you, Thursday is one of my busiest teaching days. I teach back-to-back labs, and it's a lot of fun. I teach video editing, video production, and hopefully help my students fall in love with the same kind of multimedia skills and multimedia mediums that I utilize every day when I make my YouTube videos. But because of that, you know, I'm away for several hours throughout the day. I'm away from my phone, and so sometimes I get back to my phone and there aren't really that many messages, and then sometimes I get back and it's like the world exploded. And such was the case tonight when I opened up my phone and I counted 62 consecutive messages from 62 different people about the fear that Domino, as we know her, has been nerfed. In fact, at least I would say about 6 or 7 of those 62 messages were just people saying, "Prof, looks like you can't rank 2 that Domino anymore. Better change the plans because she's going to be way worse after this." Now, my first thought was, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I don't know if it's right. Because what I've seen throughout my time with this community is that, you know, sometimes it can be easy to rush into assuming that something worse is going to happen. And Lord knows there have been a couple of times where in listening to those complaints, I have been caught up myself in the emotional reaction to it. But I also get that sometimes, you know, Kabam does things that are so shady that it makes sense why people wouldn't trust him. I still can't believe the Drax nerf. I think that one bugs me more than anything, because to this day, to remember that their post, like the one that you're seeing in front of you, stated that Drax had like a random chance to happen based off of frame rate to bypass Morto's Astro Evade when it was literally a 100% chance to bypass Morto's Astro Evade. The fact that they're sticking by that, which has just been proven false over and over again, very shady. And, you know, once a company has broken your trust, you're going to have trust issues. But I have read over these posts, and I think I get what's going on, and it's very different than what a lot of people are telling me. So I could be wrong, as always. We won't know until the official update has been implemented. But what I read is very, very different and not nearly as severely damaging to Domino as we know her than what I've seen from a lot of people, even some in the YouTube community. So this Cobster84 guy, way back in December 2018, so last month, reached out to Kabam, and under bugs and known issues, this person posted, in Domino's abilities, it states that if she suffered a bleed and is lucky, her special 2 will receive a 100% damage boost. While this works for the actual hits, the bleeds aren't increasing in damage. So what this post is saying is that the Domino that we all know and love, the Domino that's easily a top 5, maybe even top 3 champion in most aspects of the game, maybe even higher in some ways, is actually always been a little nerfed. Now, when I use the word nerf, because that's thrown around like rank down tickets in this community, the word nerf implies that the champion is less powerful than they should be. Now, when you say a champion's about to be nerfed, that means the champion's going to be less powerful than we've known them to be. This is a unique situation, because what I interpret this post to mean is that from the time of Domino's released, she's always been nerfed, meaning that even though she's incredibly powerful, and we have seen time and time again, especially with rank 5 65 5 stars and rank 2 6 stars, just the insane bleed damage, etc., that actually is less than she was supposed to be doing. And so I don't view this at all as Domino is about to change one bit in any capacity, because Domino's quote-unquote bug is that she is not as powerful in terms of bleed damage than she was supposed to be according to the original abilities listed in the champion's description. Now, when we scroll down, we will see that Kabam last month said, "Thanks for bringing this to our attention. We were able to confirm that this is a bug, and we'll be looking at getting in a fix as soon as we're able to." Now, some people have interpreted this sentence to mean that the fix, quote unquote, would be to make Domino less powerful. I actually interpreted that as the opposite. I interpreted that as Kabam saying, hey, we're going to look into this and see if Domino needs to be more powerful and her bleeds need to cause more damage than they currently are doing, because that is the original complaint of Cobster84. So, Copster 84, just a question, is this fixed? Not fixed. Just check the patch notes, no mention of fixing. Now we're in January. And Kabam Lyra, we are still looking at this particular issue. So that was a couple weeks ago. And now, as of January 24th, aka today, thank you for your patience as our team investigated this. When you brought this to our attention, we quickly confirmed that this was a bug. Okay, so this is not Domino in her current state. This is Domino in her as her intended state was before they released her. But as we were testing out our fix, and the word fix means to make Domino more powerful. In a sense, it's not a nerf, it's a buff to what Domino currently is. We quickly discovered that it would make Domino's already very powerful Special 2 way too strong. If you were to proc Lucky and place a bleed on your opponent, there was virtually no opponent in the game that Domino didn't completely melt. Now again, this is Kabam Mike speaking about the newly buffed Domino, not some nerfed third version that some people are interpreting this to mean. We discussed this for quite some time, and in the interest of game balance, have made the decision that we will not be making this change. Now, some people have already been triggered by the word balance because they interpret that to mean Domino is about to be nerfed because the game needs to be balanced. That's not what I read this to be. What I read this to be is Domino is already very, very powerful. She would be maybe past Scarlet Witch patch 12.0 if we released the buff to what the description was supposed to be. So it is my belief, if I am reading this wrong, and again, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain in this case I've read and interpreted this correctly. Those of you who are worried that you shouldn't have ranked 2 your 6-star Domino or rank 5 65 to ranked 4 your 5-star Domino, you should see no change versus what you've always seen when the change is made to the description of the champion. Now, don't think you're going to get through this video without me objectively giving some criticism for Kabam as well, because I believe part of the reason why this is an issue in the first place is because Kabam once again has shown us an example of them releasing a champ without doing the full testing or even in some cases understanding what the description of the champion's abilities are supposed to mean for the champions that they create. And that seems to be such a fundamentally easy thing for a company to do, and yet that mistake continues to happen time and time again. I don't know if there's just such a massive turnover at this company that they can't get people to stay, or I don't know if they just have people who don't test enough. But what worries me potentially, and this has been an objection that some people have raised, and I think that it is a fair one, is that if Kabam in the future was to set a precedent that they could see how powerful a champion is, especially a champion like Domino that's been out for months and several people have spent hundreds if not thousands of dollars to try to get and rank up, that you could say easily that something is a bug even if you don't have to prove that it is. And if you say it's a bug, that completely gets you off the hook for anything like rank down tickets or further compensation because you're simply stating that it was something that wasn't working as intended, which kind of reminds me of Drax a little bit, and not that you are fundamentally changing a champion that could make them worse and therefore not make them as valuable, sort of like you're buying a Tesla or a Ferrari and suddenly you feel like you're now owning something like a Hot Wheels toy. I don't think in this case, though, that's what we're seeing. I simply think someone discovered in reading Domino's abilities that she actually was less powerful than she should have been. And so they're not going to make her even stronger than she's always been because it would break the game. But she currently, and this is the key point, is not breaking the game in her current state. And so there is no fear, at least not on paper, that Kabam is going to do anything to make the current Domino worse. They're just not going to make the current Domino better. And I do think we can agree that there are so many champions in the game that deserve beta test like buffs, and Domino is not one of them. But I do think objectively there are two fears for this. One, the Kabam team once again has demonstrated that they are not testing their champions fully or even understanding the ramifications of what the abilities are supposed to do from the description of those champions versus what we actually get in the in-game product once that champion has been released. And yes, if you call something a bug and there's no way that you have to actually prove it, there could come a point where everyone's fears that messaged me today where it actually is true that you call something a bug even months later after the champion has been released, and therefore you can quote-unquote fix them without having to compensate the player base one bit, even if that player base spent hundreds or thousands of dollars trying to improve that champion and getting a bag of beans when they thought they were getting gold. So that is my interpretation of this issue. I hope that makes sense. My biggest goal, if you're watching this and you have Domino, is to not freak out that your Domino is about to be nerfed in the sense that they're about to be less powerful. I will say this, for those of you maybe out there who don't believe this and really do believe that she's about to be nerfed, I would encourage you to take screenshots and video clips of what she is before the update, and then compare those screenshots and video clips to what the damage she causes after the update. Because honestly, that's the only way we're truly going to know if something's changed, is if we have the visual evidence that any numbers have changed. But as far as I can understand in all of these posts, the numbers should be exactly the same. And it's kind of just amazing when you step back and think about it, that a top 5 damage champion like Domino was actually supposed to be way more powerful when they released her. And if she hadn't been bugged and she had done the bleed damage, it would have maybe broken the game. And some people would already argue that Domino is breaking the game, but Kabam thankfully does not agree with that stance. And yes, there are some people who say the only people who post these kind of messages are people who don't have the champion. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that as a community, if a champion's really good, we should be pro player. We should want people to get that champion. We shouldn't want to punish the people for getting that champion, because it doesn't benefit us to have a champion less powerful and to be forced to spend more units and potions and revives to clear content. That is not a help to anyone. So thanks for watching, YouTube. I hope that this discussion cleared some things up. And as always, if you have some counterpoints or some things that you would like to mention, please comment below, and I'll try to figure out the best comment to kind of pin that reflects the community, because, you know, as always, this is just one man's opinion, and I am always open to other perspectives and counter arguments.